Because you must have seen all the TV channels in India and abroad. Because he has to leave 2:15, so I should not take much of time between you and him. But only I can tell you one thing, he is known as Astro Uncle. I was making a joke after Chata Uncle Jawaharlal Nehru and Astro Uncle is Dr. Pawan Sinha. And on that side I found all the work he is carrying for Mother Teresa work almost. So now I present for Dr. Pawan Sinha to our honorable member, sir. Please.
I have requested Prabhuji to speak in English as well, along with the Hindi interpretation. Thank you.
First of all, I pray my mother goddess, Bharat Ma. I also pray all the gods and goddesses, everybody's guru and everybody's parent. This is a very fortunate day for me. It is for the third time that I am with the Rotary, and the experience have always been very fine. Respected Shri Pawan Ji, Shri Ranveer Ji, Shri Vijay Pradar Ji, and very especially Shri Suresh Ji, with whom I have 3 previous meetings, all very inspiring. I am very much impressed by his knowledge, his zeal. A child in the grab of a senior person of 60. And I usually term Rotarians as spiritual beings, because the core of his spirituality is serving humanity, that I have learned. And whosoever is in the service of humanity is a spiritual person. The core issues, after learning the core issues of his spirituality, which I have come to know, spirituality is not rites and rituals only. Spirituality is very closely coordinated, very closely related with the service of the mankind that Rotary is doing. So it is always as good as pleasure meeting with Rotarians as I would love to go to a temple. So my visit to a temple or my visit to a Rotary Club is equivalent to me. So thank you again for inviting me before this August gathering. I'm very fortunate that I know astrology, on the basis of which I can talk about the fate of an individual. And at the same time, I'm very fortunate that I'm a student of political science, and from last 13 years, I am in touch with Delhi University. I am teaching there, in fact learning there about political science, which gives me an insight of the fate or the future of India. That is why I would like to speak today for about 30 minutes, and then I will invite some questions and answers if there are. I will speak about future of individual as well as future of my own nation. India used to be a pivotal of all world civilizations. When the world was learning to dress India was at that time having the knowledge of nucleus, knowledge of atom, knowledge of use of atom. The principles of yoga are very close to the quantum mechanics. The chemical bondings we knew some 8,000 years ago. The development of the system of governance we knew some 8,000 years ago. If you happen to read out the Rig Veda, you will be a proud person, you will be a proud citizen of India. You will know about NGO systems in Rig Veda. You will know about service system in Rig Veda. You will know about the system of political, economic and social governance in Rig Veda. But every civilization has ups and downs. Every civilization has certain kinds of ways. After 3rd AD, ways changed. We had so many attacks from outside. We had so many attacks from Mughals. And because of certain persons, unfortunately belonging to our own race, we became the colony of Mughals, then colony of Britishers. Now here from fate revolved 360 degrees. The country which taught the world mathematics, physics, metallurgy, Vastu and so many other things is now fighting with her own ideologies, and the fighters are our own persons. The reason is lack of knowledge, lack of awareness, and lack of interest to see what we were, how much advanced citizens, how much advanced persons we used to be. And it has created a great vacuum, which is in fact creating troubles not only in our social system, but also in our economic system, in our environmental system, is also in our patriotic systems, that is also creating a vacuum in our family systems, etc. For example, usually my friends, my intellectual friends, they usually ask me, इतना पढ़ने लिखने के बाद तुम ज्योतिष क्यों करते हो? I'm not an astrologer by training. I'm an astrologer by default, I think, because of my interest in all sciences of India. तुम इतने पढ़े लिखे हो और ज्योतिष को मानते हो. They used to say, you are so much educated and still believe in astrology. And my very humble submission to them, पढ़ा लिखा हूँ इसलिए ज्योतिष को मानता हूँ. Because I'm educated, that's why I trust and believe in astrology. It was the year 2000, 12th January 2000, when I predicted, and it was published in some newspapers, about the fate of India after 2010. Many did not agree at that time, not even in my university. But I said in Youth Summit, 12th January is celebrated at World Youth Day. So in that Youth Summit I said that from 2010 onwards, fate of India would start changing. It would have a severe impact on foreign policy of India. It would have severe impact on the social policy of India, on religious beliefs and systems, and it would have a very deep impact in the politics of India. My reasons were political, vision, as well as my astrology. Because of certain planetary changes, all big wars throughout the world occurred. I have studied more than 1,000 wars after 1648, after the Treaty of Westphalia, world has passed through over 1,000 brutal wars. And even after First World War, world has passed through 200 brutal wars. And you see the history of all the wars, you will find a special movement of Saturn and Sun. And the basis of that, I predicted that sea changes in Indian political, economic, and social system are going to incur. And all those people who do not believe in the system of fittest, the survival of the fittest, they will be lagging. I indicated towards the feudalistic tendencies of some political leaders. And it is now a truth. Common men are now started dominating the politics. And those people who used to be common men, but because of political feudalism, later on became uncommon men. I'm indicating towards those politicians who were the product of JP movement. They were very common men of India, but they ceased to be the common men. After the joint politics, they became uncommon men, some special persons. Now they are being ruled out by the citizens. Usually I dislike the word common man. Nobody is Aam Aadmi, everybody is a Khas Aadmi. Every citizen has an equal reputation. So I usually do not, I'm not dissuaded by the word common man, but I still prefer to, according to the word which is in vogue, I'm using this word. Now the fate of India is very fast changing. Here, I would like to do, wherever I go, I'm supposed to speak in astrology, but as a matter of fact, I speak very less in astrology. India is my favorite subject. And particularly before the August gatherings, you have persons who can think, not only think, who can act, not only act, who have power to control. That's why this is my pleasure that I'm taking in describing a few of the things which are going through in India. India is passing through perils. The country has already been admitted into ICU, as I say. Things are even worse when we see that movements have become a kind of fashion and profession. In last 3.5 years, India has seen so many movements throughout. But unfortunately, the kind of movements which India is passing through are not going to yield much. The reason being, movements are either becoming fashion or profession. So many people, because they wanted to be in front of the camera, are joining the movements. It is not easy to change the world or to change a nation through the movement. We have many, many movements before us. If I talk about the latest movement of Egypt, I talk about latest movement of Afghanistan, movement of Iraq, movement in Iran, then movement of America, then French movement, then Bolshevik movement. We must not forget the movement in China in 46. There are so many movements through the world, and they change the history, they change the geography also. But unfortunately, the movement in India is not like that. So, little dissatisfaction is there, and little perils, fear from the perils in the society is also there. Situation is very dangerous. I have 3 reasons to explain this. Every movement must have 3 characteristics without which no movement can sustain. The prime characteristic of every movement is ideology, and India is very much lacking behind that ideology. Here my spirituality comes in. Economic development, sustainable economic development has 2 basics. One is greed-based basics, another one is need-based basics. India's economic development of past 30 years, particularly after 1991, when India started its development from globalization politics and policies, politics as such, the way I use politics is not an unworthy word. It is quite a worthy word to me. Politics is a worthy word. I would love to be a politician. I am a politician because I'm born in a certain country. Everybody, whosoever born in a certain country, whosoever is a citizen of any nation is a politician. So politics is a worthy word, and I think we should accept it with grace. After 1991, a great economic change occurred in India. A great economic boom occurred in India, but it was not need-based, it was greed-based. And this was the reason that lots of property, opportunity, development, etc., they started focusing in few hands. Even government did not read. Governments, rather, I would say. Governments did not read. They did not bother that most of the resources are being covered by few hands. Here, the folly does not lie with the hands. I'm not indicating anything like bourgeoism or capitalism. I'm not talking about that. I have nothing to say about that. I'm simply to say that it was a greed-based economic development where few hands got together and they started pressurizing the government, and gradually a corporatism occurred nearly about 2000, and now this corporatism is governing politics. This is really very dangerous. शास्त्र से, शास्त्रों के अनुसार यदि चलते हैं, धन जब तक सेवक है आप कभी परेशान नहीं होंगे, लेकिन धन जिस दिन मालिक हो जाएगा आप कभी खुश नहीं रहेंगे. I would like to translate it for our respected guests. That till our Shastra say, Indian scriptures say, that till man rules the money, he will be hale and hearty. But if money rules the man, there will be a chaotic society. The whole world is a history of the chaos where money started ruling the man. Money started ruling the emotions of man. And now this is happening in India, and you will see the rise of mafias. It is inevitable because money is ruling the man. Mafiaism cannot be stopped. So the prime principle of any movement is the development of ideology, predominantly the economic ideology, and that is collapsing. We have started the movements in the last 3 years without having any ideology. What would we do? How would we do? What is our vision for 50 years or so? Country is not a birth of a day. Country is not of a child of a day. And country's life cannot be numbered in days or months or years. ये युग युगांतर तक चलता है. So vision of the leaders means at least 100 years. But there is no vision as such. In fact, in the last 10 years, except for the past president, APJ Kalam, I have not seen any leader giving a vision for India at least for 20-25 years. It is really very gruesome situation. Second important thing, we do not have any strategy. We always ask youth, because we have seen that more than 52% youth are from 20 to 30 age group, and more than 64% youth as a whole India is having. So they always invite youth. They invoke their emotions, and emotions are invoked not on the basis of solid grounds. They are just emotions, just sentiments, as we do in films. So our politicians or our revolutionaries, they are acting, they are behaving the way film directors, film story writers, actors, actresses do. Just mincing with the emotions, nothing on the ground of the facts. Fact is not that which they are guiding, the way they are guiding the youth. So they are lacking the strategy. This is another very gruesome and dangerous situation. I think no political leader, no social movement leader has ever explained the strategy they are going to adopt for a few days, for a few months, or for a few years to come. What will be the vision of India economically? How socially they want their India to be? How spiritually they want their India to be? No vision. In last 10 years, I haven't listened to any political leader speaking vehemently on pollution, speaking vehemently on environmental system, speaking specifically on spiritual systems, on moods, on brain, on mind, on thoughts, on water. Water which may cause a great social commotion in coming 20 years. And it will astrologically also, and whatever little knowledge I have about society, on the basis of that also, I am predicting from this month, from this stage, that in coming 20 years, Mr. Alexander, because he's working extensively in the field of environment, will be able to explain it more. But whatever little vision I have on the basis of that, I'm telling you that in coming 20 years, water will be a major actor in determining the market and creating political commotion among the nations. But we have no vision. We do not have any foreign policy. In fact, I still wonder that India, does it have the policy, or India is being run on the ad hoc programs? Again, a matter of great dissatisfaction, and I feel negative vibrations about it. The third very important thing to launch a movement is the level and worthiness of leaders to sacrifice. I really have not seen our leaders who are launching the movements, who are carrying social movements, who are carrying political movements, their will to sacrifice. Sacrifice the way Subhash Chandra Bose did. Sacrifice the way Gandhiji did. Sacrificing the way other revolutionaries did. Without the sacrifices, we cannot rejuvenate a society. Without the sacrifices of the leader, no nation is rejuvenated. पुनरुद्धार संभव नहीं है जब तक त्याग नहीं हो सकता. त्याग के बिना पुनरुद्धार संभव ही नहीं है. And now we are trying to make a new society, new nations. We are creating songs like that, but nobody is ready to make sacrifices. This is somewhat the aspect of my vision about India, and I wanted to share them before you, because I know you are very intelligent, intellectual, experienced and powerful people. I think changes can be made by you. They have, as I'm guided here to speak on astrology also. And I have some scientific reasons to tell you. It was the month of October when Pandavas thought, October 3067 BCE. This was the date when peace truce, the efforts for the truce were made between Pandavas and Kauravas by Lord Shri Krishna. Shri Krishna was very reluctant about this. He never wanted to go for the truce. But he said that it is my duty as human being that I must go for the truce. He made a peace visit to Viratnagar. By the time he acknowledged that solar eclipse is going to be there in the month of November. It was around 10th of November. Little dates may vary because of what NASA has said is little different, few days different. Again, it's a matter of great pride, and I think you all would love to clap for this, that the calculations we made some 8,005 years ago are almost the same which NASA has pronounced 3 years back. It's a matter of great pride, and I think we must clap for our nation. less than 2% difference is there between the ages of Earth, age of whole cosmos, etc. So it was a solar eclipse at that time. Lord Krishna said that peace truce is going to be a vain exercise. Persons with him asked why. Because solar eclipse is going to occur. Solar eclipse of this sort always invite a war. So war will be there within a month of this eclipse. And his prediction came true on 23rd of November 3067 BCE. War started. How planets work. Sudden shift, what I was speaking and what I am going to speak. There is a magnetism, there is a vibration. Magnetism of the cosmos, magnetism within, vibration of the cosmos, vibration within, because we say, Yat Pinde Tat Brahmandi. We are like our cosmos. Because of this magnetism, because of this vibration, because of the time and space, we always move in the way the whole cosmos moves. And this is the basic premise of astrology, on the basis of which we make so many predictions, whether they are related to the country, or related to the society, or they are related to the health. Three important things are there. It is such a huge subject. Three important things are there. The rays of sun, the basic of all Vastu, the basic of all of our health, then magnetism, then radiations. These are the three reasons on the basis of which all the predictions in astrology can be made very scientifically. They may need time. When what we need is data, is date of birth, time of birth, and the place of birth. On the basis of that, we prepare a chart of the sky. Usually, colloquially, we do say that the chart of an individual, but actually the chart of the sky at that particular time, which is going to have an impact on individual. So the basis of astrology are purely scientific, very much scientific. Second thing that I want to share. Everybody knows that we are designed by our genomes. We are designed by our genomes, everybody knows. In our genomes, there are some blank spaces. There are some blank spaces. We always know in India from 8,005 years ago that planets do have severe impact on our thought process as well as in our body parts. Now our research was completed in the University of Michigan. The year was 2008. In the Washington Post, this news was published, and the news said, it's very interesting, news said that these blank genomes are governed by extraterrestrial effects. Hence, astrology is proved to be a right concept. These blank genomes are impacted by extraterrestrial impacts like the movements of planets, like the gravitational force, etc. And they decide our speed, our match with time and space. They decide our health. They decide our thought process, because they also determine the waves, the brain waves within us, and this is the procedure by which we come to a certain conclusion. I made a lot of researches with children, their behavior. Parenting is an Herculean task in India, and in present circumstances, because of the wide gap created because of science and technology. Every planet has its own impact on the thought process. This age is governed by Venus and Moon. Hence, promiscuity is rising day by day. Venus and Moon, they encourage promiscuity. Sexuality, hypersexuality. Whenever hypersexuality is met with Martian effects, rapes, molestation, etc. take place. 2 is equal to 4. It is as fit a principle as the mathematics principle may be. Reasons are many. Rise and richness of oxytocin in the body that encourages the Venus impact within the body. And whenever we are going to have more oxytocin in the body, our sexual habits will be perverted. I made this prediction in 2008 that after 2010 there will be a women rise in the sexual crime against women. And I'm here predicting again that in coming 5 years there will be a rise, a substantial rise in the crime against women. See, law does its own work. Spirituality takes the things with a difference. There's a different approach. This is why I always say, कानून कदाचार रोक सकता है, सदाचार नहीं सिखा सकता. Law cannot stop perversion. Perversion can only be stopped by spirituality. And astrology is a part of spirituality. So if we happen to know our child right from the beginning, if we happen to know the impact of different planets on his thought process, much perversion can be stopped. Though I do admit that a lot of researches are to be made. Whatever little I'm doing, but much has to be done. The cases of depression will rise. Every parent should be very alert about the depressive tendencies of the kids, of the children. Depression is on the floor, it will rise. The cases of theft will rise. Families will be broken more, and it all will happen in just 30 months to come. Very small time, 30 months, बहुत ज़्यादा वक्त नहीं. In a very short period of 2.5 years, we are going to see the fall in social respect, mutual respect. And this can be stopped to a large extent, not totally, but after a mass social awareness. Unfortunately, here I go back to the subject where from I started, why I said about Indianity. मैं भारतीयता की बात क्यों करता हूँ? The reason is, even after the debates, even after the discussions, if I'm able to prove my science right, everybody may accept it, but not so-called intelligent Indians. That's a pathos that I have in my heart. Whatever is not coming from the West is not accepted to us. And that is why I have taken this as a challenge for my life, as a work of my life, that I will create Indianity among Indians. मैं भारतीयों में भारतीयता उत्पन्न करना चाहता हूँ. I want to tell them what you are. How much have you worked? You are not the persons who have no sense of history. You are not the one who didn't know anything. We were not simple Kabilite people. We were great scientists. We were great numerologists, great mathematicians. And if at all we start believing on Indian systems, Indian sciences, We can curb all these matters, otherwise we won't be able to curb. Interestingly, behavioral problems can be curbed either at home or at schools. But parents, either they don't know what the behavioral problems are, or they do not know how to curb the behavioral problems. And in schools, very interestingly, and I know that many of you will be the members of different school trusts. Please pressurize the schools. Education is completed not by books alone. There are many people who never had any books to purchase. Education is not completed by good buildings. There are many leaders throughout the world who didn't study in a formal structure. Education is by mind process. Education is by the solidarity of brain and mind. Education and a good personality is a mosaic of mind, brain, and body. Unfortunately, almost no work in our school systems is on the understanding of the human mind. What my child thinks, how my child is different, what is the mental disposition of my child. No work is there in any of the education systems. I happen to be the member of CBSE board also. I made great fightings there. But we are not ready. By having a simple look on the palm, you can read out the mind process of anybody. And it's quite scientific, quite scientific. In Germany, it is known as pseudoscience. It's a part of psychology there. And it started there in 17th century. In early 19th century, whole of America, which were dealing with consciousness. In early 19th century, whole of England, the departments which were dealing with the consciousness, they accepted it. That your palm, your fingers, your lines, your style, your body, your postures, they all say something about your mind systems. But they are enough, they are learning from us enough, but we are not ready to accept it. I really wish, I really request that our children's behavior must be read at homes and at schools. One child may determine the fate of the nation. I'm a nationalist person, so my all efforts are for the nation ultimately. One child. This is the reason why great efforts were started by Rotary about children's health, about polio and all. There must have been a great vision before this. एक बहुत बड़ा विजन आप लोगों के पास रहा होगा उस वक्त में, जिससे कि बच्चों को पोलियो मुक्त कराया. It's a great effort made by Rotary. I know in some of the functions I too have been there. Child is really the father of not only the man but also the mankind, but also the nation. So we need to understand the behavior of our children. We need to understand the behavior, we understand the thought process of our children. The moment we know the thought process of our children, the moment we know the corrective measures to ameliorate their thought process, we would be able to produce good children. Good children means good families. Good families means good society, means a good nation. Otherwise, the way movements are being headed in our nation, they are going to produce not much. Not much. Definitely they have impacted, they would create certain impact, but not much. Systems by and large will remain the same, because systems are not governed by politicians, by bureaucrats or by industrialists. Systems are governed by the minds. Great minds govern the great systems. Good minds do not need any specific laws for everything. Developed minds do not need much regulations. We do not need a policeman at red light, because red light itself means that you have to stop. but it is not happening. That is why now I want to sum up and open the dice for the discussion if the questions are there. In summing up, nations are created by the wealth of individuals, not by the economy of individuals. And the biggest wealth is mindset, and the thought process. So if we want to create an honest nation here, we need to create the honest mindsets here. Thank you so much. Jai Hind. जी जी
I will use the first opportunity to ask.
Yes, sir.
I have two questions. One is that you said that majority of the things are governed by climate, most of the things are testing. Why still people do push out? Second, you said that in the next 20-25 years, water will be the main problem. This club has also started a slogan, Jal Hai to Kal Hai. Can you tell us what are the major areas where this crisis can be addressed?
Yes. First on Purusharth. There's a very misconception about astrology. That's an art of telling future. Actually, astrology is not only the art of telling future. Astrology is an art of making future. भविष्य बताने की कला नहीं है ज्योतिष, भविष्य बनाने का विज्ञान है ज्योतिष. It itself makes everything clear. Means, if you want to construct something, you must have liberty to construct something. Liberty means free will, and free will means that everything is not distinct. I would like to quote Rigved, Samved, the whole Vedanta system, Bharamahe, etc. Life is of two kinds. First is a defined life, that is called destined life. Everything will happen the way it happens. Then the position of Purusharth, karma, functionality, dutifulness. You want a change, you can make a change. Because of this principle, there is a principle of Punarjanam, last birth, next birth, principles of puja, dhyan, sadhana, bhakti, etc. That means through Purusharth, and Purusharth is what? That is also defined. Lord Krishna says, Purusharth means yoga karma sukaushlam, karmati kushalta Purushartha. You work very hard, but the way God wants you to work. So, role of Purusharth is as equal, as important as the role of fate is. So those who do not want to be swayed by the fate alone, they have been given Vivek. Because of the use of Vivek and Karma, they can make changes in destiny. At least I follow this kind of astrology. This is called Vedic astrology. The second part that I'll take 1 minute to explain. The earth movement, the tilting of the earth, the illogical construction of the buildings, and unawareness of human beings, particularly the countries who have already abandoned water system, their citizens' ignorance, they all are going to deplete the water level, particularly drinking water level. And we have enough evidences that in the last 15 years, drinking water level has dipped not only in India, but in other countries of the world. Fightings or the wars or are always on the for the resources, natural resources. Most of the wars have been for natural resources. Some of the other way. Whenever there is a paucity of the resource, we want to clutch it as soon as possible, as much as we can. And here is the beginning of the war. So when the water will have the paucity, people would like to dominate it, and this will beget the war. This is how I think. The solution, again, we have to enrich this natural resource system. This is the only solution. Awareness, environmental protection, this is the only system. That there shouldn't be any paucity. If the paucity is not there, everything can be managed. Natural resources should not be denigrated. Water treatment plants, air treatment plants, they should be well in abundance. There must be very strict government vigilance, and our coming generation should be well aware about the importance of the water and its preservation and conservation. Then it can. This is the only way it can be. Otherwise, all efforts have been applied in many countries, but they all are in vain, except for the basic resource generation and awareness. There is no other solution.
Pawanji, I put two things. It is a saying that everything is destined. Do you believe in that? That's number one. Because even the karma and purushārtha that we do is a part of that destiny to reduce the effect or to gain. But ultimately, what is destined has to take place. Yes or no? That's number one. And number two, India has no reserve. Which country has no reserve? That's my second question.
Okay. About this study, I've already explained. In just few seconds, I would reiterate what I just said. Nothing is destined if a person is bent upon performing purushārtha. Otherwise, everything is destined. Except for the birth and death, God does not come in between. Otherwise, Pandavas were destined to lose the battle. But Shri Krishna said, no, it won't. Kali Yuga made its onset before the death of Shri